Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda, and this is the Pursuit of Badasserie, the podcast.
This podcast is all about taking action and creating that badass business abundance and life that you want.
Where we share stories, laughs, wins, and epic fails to show you the whole picture of the entrepreneurial journey.
It's not just unicorns and rainbows, people.
Jump on and follow us through this raw and witty roller coaster,
where we get down and dirty and go behind the scenes of life and entrepreneurship.
Get on it,
get over it,
and get after it.
Hey, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda. Welcome to the Pursuit of Badasserie, the podcast. We have another incredible guest today. We have Lunaria Gaia. She is a dynamic speaker and empowerment advocate, leveraging her lived experiences to guide women beyond societal roles so they can follow their dreams, big or small. As a seasoned confidence coach and best-selling author, she inspires authentic living and breaking free from limitations. We're excited to have you today. Let's talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Lynn, Amanda. The Pursuit of Badasserie. I got to say, when I first stumbled across your podcast, I was like, what is this gold that I have just stumbled across? So thank you for having me. What an honor.
Oh, we definitely love our name, but your book is what, Perfectly Imperfect?
Yeah, book number one, Perfectly Imperfect.
Yeah, the last one I saw. We love like great terms and great wording and all of that good stuff. So there'll be more about that in the show note, guys and gals. So
yeah, go check it out.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Lena.
Yes. So, my business is personal, and I feel like for so many of us, it is. I have built a business, if I would, based on the fact that I used to hate myself. I was held back. I limited myself. I didn't think that I could anything, really. Mediocrity was the standard for me. I just thought that success, excellence, performance, good things were for other people, not for someone like me. And I say that with some inverted commas for those just listening to the audio, because it was not for people like me. I really honestly felt like they were my limiting beliefs that I had, that it was just for somebody else. I couldn't be an entrepreneur. I couldn't be in business. I couldn't get in shape. I couldn't. And that was the internal narrative. And as you can imagine, my life was a reflection of that. Until such point as I decided to make some real changes around my mind, my thinking, and address those limiting beliefs, overcome those limiting beliefs. So now that I get to live a life that's on my terms. I get to hang out with incredible women like you, talking about business, talking about living a life on your terms, beyond the limiting beliefs. I love myself. I'm in a really great space, and that's what my business is all about, helping women to be able to overcome their own limits so they can truly shine in this world.
I love that. I feel like, when we read your bio and got your information, there are certain guests that, with our title, The Pursuit of Badasserie, that we feel like really like forwardly embody what we meant when we were coming up with the name of The Pursuit of Badasserie. It really is like being unapologetic, really sinking into who you are, how you are, what you're destined to be, what you're destined to do. And we had, a discussion around that. Like, we feel like, you're definitely one of those individuals who really, at least what we can read, who are living that and teaching others, I guess, is the other aspect of that. Teaching others to do the same.
And I think that is such an important field to be in, because I think as women especially, we are taught to be small. We are taught to hold back, just put everybody else's needs before your own. And I think that what ends up happening is that we become people pleasing, we become much smaller. But if we could get out of our own way, we have an incredible amount of power that's in our lane. We don't have to try to be men. We can just be us. We don't have to be extroverts if we're not. The pursuit of badasserie is about being yourself. If you can truly have the courage to be all of who you are, that's exactly what the world needs. So I love that you're doing it, and I love that I can be a part of it.
Same.
I love it. I love it. One of the things you talk a lot about is this concept of like needing the consistency to really build trust with your audience. Can you speak a little bit about what that means to you and where you see that in businesses as they grow?
I tell you what, particularly when we're in a personal kind of business, I'm in personal services. Once upon a time, we only needed one or two touch points before we bought. And even go back further as 2017. So we're talking 7, 8 years ago now. It was about 12 or 13 touch points that people would need before they buy. I don't know the latest stats, but I'm pretty sure it's got to be 25 to 30 touch points before somebody buys. We are inundated with information. We are inundated with celebrities and influencers, and we're wary of that as buyers, as consumers. We have so many people trying to jam things down our throats consistently that what we're looking for is somebody that we can trust. We're looking for somebody that we can give our hard-earned to, that isn't going to just be a charlatan and drop the ball. So to me, consistency of showing up on our stories, like from a social media perspective, on our stories, on our brand, on ourselves, on our own evolution, and documenting that to our audience. What that does, it says to the audience, even if they don't really truly consciously understand this, when they see me show up each and every single day, they unconsciously understand that I will show up for them. That when they hire me, they are hiring my consistency. That builds trust. If you can keep your promises to yourself, you build trust with yourself. When you keep promises to others, they'll trust you forevermore. And that's real consistent. You don't just want to have a buyer who buys from you once. You want to have raving fans who, whenever you put out your next service or your next product, they are the first ones to buy, and they are the first ones to tell everybody else about it. And that only comes with trust. And the way that you build that trust is through consistency.
I love what you just said. And, there's a couple of aspects of that I love. You know, I love using the phrase, the only person you're lying to is yourself.
Yeah.
With my clients and friends and sometimes myself. But that like building trust, and that, the over bastardized words that we could use, but that, accountability and everything within ourselves, but also showing up. And when you are incongruent with one or slightly kind of off kilter, the other is affected. And it's really interesting, even if you're going through the moves, until you kind of like sink back in that authenticity and that kind of groundedness of the truth, you are, and it's interesting because when we work with clients, sometimes on a subconscious level, they're off on one of those and they don't realize it in many aspects, not just in branding and all of that, but and like the sales aren't coming anymore, or their clients end up starting to be biggest pains in the asses. And the common denominator is them. And it's just kind of like kind of packing everything and saying, ooh, like that's the sweet spot. Let's just kind of like calibrate that a little bit. And then everything gets back to, moving forward. So I love that you said that.
Beautiful insights. Thank you for sharing.
I love that you said that. So I would love for you to share with the audience, if you're open to it, like what was a pivotal moment for you to realize like, hey, no, I'm done. I'm done playing small. I'm done apologizing for everything. Like, do you have one pivotal moment that you would like to share?
Yeah, look, I think that tragedy has a way of shaping us. And if I look back on the history of my life, there was kind of like a before a very large tragedy and an after. There is this very distinct line in the sand when I started making different choices. And I want to make it really clear here. I'll tell you what the tragedy was in just a moment. When big things happen, when we're like looking at that one moment, I want everybody to understand that for the most part, it isn't bing. It isn't this all of a sudden now I'm taking consistent action. All of a sudden, everything changes. All of a sudden, I get all my dreams come true. I want to make it really clear that generally it's that internal shift of a decision gets made. And then you need to keep making that decision again and again and again. For me, I lost my brother when he was 28. I was 27. It completely radically transformed the way that I saw existence, if I would, like it was a big tragedy in my life. One that didn't necessarily result in, oh yeah, now I'm empowered and making business happen immediately, but one that made me go, why am I continuing to live a life for other people?
Yeah.
What is it, where am I at? Because I'm 27 at that point in time. I had just become a coach within the 12 months before that. So I'd already wanted to go on this path of serving others, of being in business. But that moment when he passed was a real catalyst in my life, because I then got to sit there and go, hang on a second, I may not get old. I may not get the chances that I think that I'm going to somewhere down in some distant future. This is my life and it's happening now. And am I living for me, or am I living for the expectations of society, the world? Am I people pleasing? Am I attempting to create a persona that I think everybody else is going to like when I don't even like myself? And I think that that was really the catalyst of change, of going, right, let's get serious on doing the inner work. That didn't result in the result outwardly for many, many more years. And I just want to make that really clear for everybody, that it wasn't just a drop and everything changed.
Yeah, I love that you say that. I mean, I talk a lot about like the different aspects of like the different points in my life that have definitely catapulted me. And one was cancer, like developing cancer and then going through the
Yeah.
process. And there's a couple of things around this. I love that you said that it doesn't happen instantly. Like it's about the journey, right? The pursuit of badassery is not the destination of badassery. It's not being, I mean, we do have things as being badass, but it is about the pursuit, because life is lived in every step and not at the on your deathbed, essentially. And so I think that you said that. I also though want to notate, and I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts around this or how you guide people, is I know when I was guiding people around like essentially like their emotional connection, and like we'll say it was like a why, but it was like really the root and cause of like how they maneuver through like their purpose, etc. That people, especially when they heard all the things that I went through that were like pivotal moments, which I chose to be pivotal moments, because lots of people sit in the victim of it, right?
Amen.
But that people would compare and say, oh, well, I didn't live the same life that you did, so maybe I'm not going to be as motivated or whatever. But I like to say to clients, and I know Amanda does too, is like, you don't have to have that whole comparative, trauma or whatever. You don't have to have that. Like you can actually listen to this podcast today and say, you know what? I'm done playing small. Like you don't have to have tragedy or heartache or heartbreak to make those incredible changes, life-changing decisions to redirect your life.
Because they're just an opportunity, Lynn. I think that that's what that is that like you just said, it's not in the event, it's in the decision.
Yes.
And you don't need an event in order to make a decision. You make a decision, you keep making that decision. It's that it doesn't even have to be a moment. Often it does come, you with cancer, maybe me with my brother. But even if I think back, 12 months before that, I became a coach. So I was already making the decisions. 4 years before that, I traveled overseas when I was in my mid-20s, because I didn't want to be the person that I had grown up believing that I should be. And so that happened long before the tragedy. And the distinction there is make the decision. You make the decision. It is an internal experience. It is, you're 100% right. I remember a mentor of mine in my coach days, he said, he goes, I would read all these stories about successful people, how they went from being completely broke to having all this wealth. And he said, I honestly said to my wife at one point, we need to give away everything. We need to give away everything and live on the street so that I can have my zero to hero story. And she's like, you're insane. It's not about the circumstances. It's about the decisions that you're making, the choices that you're making, the commitment to it. That's what makes the difference. So I love that you notated that, Lynn, because do not think that it's the external thing that caused the shift. It is the internal decision that you make.
Absolutely.
100%.
Every time.
100%. For years when I was younger, I thought that I had to have some like suicidal alcoholic tendencies in order to be a writer, because like everyone's like, oh, you have got to be the Sylvia Plath or the Hemingway, and if you don't have that kind of trauma, then you will never be a successful writer. That was something that was this narrative that I had for a long time. And I have a client who is wildly successful, amazing woman, but she's ashamed to say that she grew up affluent because she doesn't want people to know that she started with money and now has money. She's like, well, it invalidates me as a financial coach because I didn't start from nothing. And I'm like, how sad is it that we've gotten to this point where if you don't have this comparative struggle, that you can't be successful in what you do, because it doesn't come from an outside circumstance. It absolutely comes from a choice that you make. And I love that you said that you had to make the choice to live for yourself in that moment in the day, rather than what society thought you were supposed to do, what expectations that you had thought were there. I love that, because it is such an internal dialogue that you have with yourself, and it is not dependent on your circumstances. Even if they're good circumstances, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a fulfilled life just because you happen to grow up with a silver spoon. It doesn't mean that it's going to have the same future. So there's all sorts of things on that spectrum. And I love that you brought that up, because you're not your circumstances, no matter what your circumstances are, good or bad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Incredibly powerful. I think that, as you said, that silver spoon situation, it's one of those things. There are plenty examples in the world of people who have, quote, got it all and never make it. There are plenty of examples of people who had nothing and never make it. And the opposite is true. What I've just learned is that it's actually just irrelevant. Sure, maybe someone who's got more of a financial backing to begin with is playing on a different level to begin with, but you still at some point are going to have to make your choices. If you're making independent success from that, you're the one that's deciding to do that. Anybody, I think there is a victim mindset with that as well. Speaking to what you said before, Lynn, there's a victim mindset that says she had money, therefore. No, you're placing the responsibility in the wrong spot. Anytime, for better or worse, you place the responsibility in the circumstances, you are disempowering yourself.
Absolutely. And I do want to make a note that this is personal just as much as it's professional as well. So even though we're kind of using, and I'm reflective of, like, I grew up, we grew up really poor. My whole family was poor, like poor. And I had an auntie, and she would often say, like, they were, they were able to, like, pay their bills and do different things, but they live paycheck to paycheck. And she's like, I'm the happiest person because I'm choosing to be happy. She's like, money. So sure, money can afford different things and do different things. She's like, but money does not buy happiness. And so I think it's along the same lines of, like, and I do say we are not our circumstances, but our circumstances are a part of us, but it's what we do with them that really empowers us to be all or not of who we are. And I love this dialogue. I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about, like, what you do with your clients, because you're a confident coach. You really help people break out of the societal norms, especially women. You mostly work with women. I don't know if you solely work with women, but I think I read on the site that you mostly work with women. And so, like, what is it that you, like, pull them through? Because, I know that some people would come to you and say, yep, I need more confidence. But most people, like, they're just, if they have imposter syndrome, or if they have all of the kind of the things that they need to, like, grow from, then they might not be confident to reach out. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. Yeah. Look, and I do, women are my passion project, because I am one, and it's so close to my heart. But I work with everybody, anybody who wants to go beyond their mind effectively. What I teach my clients more than anything, there are three kind of major pillars, irrelevant of what level you meet me at. That's being on my podcast, listening to my social media. If you read my first book, my second book's coming out later this year, I think around about the time that this episode will drop. So that's very good. May 23rd. You'll be able to get
book or happiness something. We'll put the title in there. Yep.
We'll talk about that. Get happy and free. Whether or not that's through my first book, Perfectly Imperfect, courses, coaching, speaking, wherever you're connected with me, what I am teaching you to do each and every single time is to become a professional human being. It's how do you master your mind? Because this thing up between our ears has the power to be our biggest, best ally or our worst enemy. And for most of us, we are running on autopilot. We are simply just the product of our conditioning and our programming from our childhood all the way to leading up to right now. And the vast majority of humans never go and do a stock take of the beliefs and the thoughts that happen on repeat inside of our minds. And therefore, they are running a blueprint, a map of a reality that was created when they were no less than 7. And so until we actually go in and do that, reconnaissance of our mind, the stock take, to have a look at, well, what beliefs are there? What are the thoughts that I'm consistently repeating on my head? If that's autopilot, it is very, very likely in most circumstances that it's going to be fearful. It's going to be limiting and it's going to be small because our mind's job is to keep us safe, not to make us happy. And so the default mode of the mind is survival. I want everybody to know that it's survival. So the 3 things that I help people deal with the most, irrelevant of what level you're meeting me at, is how do you master your thoughts? How do you lead your fear? And how do you translate your emotions? We don't get taught how to do this. We have this incredible device up in our heads that has the power to shape us for the better. It's an amazing tool, yet the vast majority of us don't know how to use it. Our emotions get the better of us. They hijack us at our most least opportune times. Our fear rules us most of the time. And even if people think they're not fearful, procrastination, self-sabotage, maybe laziness, there's tiredness, extra fatigue. There's lots of ways that fear shows up. Overthinking is a symptom of underfeeling. And then, of course, our thoughts. Those 3 things, our thoughts, our emotions, and our fear, if you are able to master those things, become the leader of those things, and learn what they're there to teach you, and you raise those things as if they were a child, you will be in mastery of your life and your world. Caveat, doesn't mean that everything's going to be amazing. Doesn't mean that everything's going to go to plan. Doesn't mean you're going to get everything you've ever desired and never have a bad day. But what it does mean is that you have the tools to know how to manage when, the circus comes to town inside of your life and inside of your mind.
I love that. It's not easy, but it's worth it.
No. Oh, yeah. Simple, but not easy.
Simple, but not easy. Love that term.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And they're not, because millions of people want to be happy and most people aren't.
100%. So what would you say for the entrepreneurs, the small business owners that we have globally, when they are showing up consistently but not getting the results they want? What would you say to that demographic of people who's showing up, they feel like they're showing up consistently, but then they're not getting the results?
Yeah. I'm smiling because you clarified a little bit there, Amanda. You said they feel like they're showing up consistently. I think that's a thing. We need, speaking to what you said before, Lynn, we need to be really honest with ourselves. I've been in business for 14 years, and for the first 10, I had a job. Well, I had several jobs. So part of my journey is that it was a side hustle. It was something that I was working on in between, and I thought I was showing up consistently. And, I showed up enough. So I think the very first thing is to recognize, let's be really honest with ourselves. Are we showing up consistently? Have we made a choice to, is it daily? Do we show up to our business in the same way that we would a job? Because when we are employed, moving from that employee mindset into the business owner mindset can be really tricky for a lot of us. It has been for myself. That when you have a job, you show up irrelevant if you don't want to. You just do, because you got to. You're getting paid. Someone's giving you the money, right? And so you've got obligations, you've got commitments. Yeah, maybe you do a half-assed job sometimes, but you'll still show up most days. At best in Australia, we've got sick days a year. So, like, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to be able to just not show up to work regularly when you feel like it. Consistency is about showing up when you don't feel like it. That's what discipline is. So if you feel as though you're being consistent, first part, check. Just get really honest with yourself. Work with a coach, work with these incredible women or myself. Check to see whether or not you are actually showing up consistently. That would be the first thing. The second thing is patience. Patience. It generally, look, I don't want to put any limits on anybody. It's likely to take longer than you think it's going to. And doesn't mean that you won't see any results. I just think that if we are only looking at the outcome, the final result of I want this amount of followers or this amount of money, then we are going to miss all of the gold that's in the process of becoming what you need to become in order to be successful. So be patient and have faith. Have faith. So there's four things. It's be honest with yourself, make sure that you are actually being consistent. Be patient, it's likely to take longer. Have faith that you're just gonna do it. And and the fourth thing here is be behaviorally flexible. You need to be able to adapt. You need to know when you got to go, cool, I need to reach out to somebody because I have been showing up and producing YouTube content every day for the last 12 months. I don't have any new followers. Sweet. Know when that you need more strategy. Know when you need help. Know when there is information that you're not currently using or having access to that you will benefit from getting some advice, getting some help, and working with a trusted advisor.
I love those. You mentioned in those four pillars, also you mentioned discipline. And I think that I've been seeing on my favorite news feed lately, a lot of Instagram, a lot of quotes about I don't need more motivation, you need discipline, and the difference between motivation and discipline. And it reminds me of, I actually did a talk probably like 12 years ago about the difference between motivation and discipline and why it's a and how they both play a role, but how most people don't need more motivation, especially with the accessibility. They need the discipline. And it goes back to what you originally said. It's making that decision and putting in the action. And it is about the everyday steps. It's about the journey or the pursuit. It's, great that win at the end, but there's never a finite end, right? When it comes to entrepreneurship and in that journey. And so I love everything that you just said. I know we're kind of getting to a little bit to them, but I definitely want to we want to give you opportunity to talk about the new book that's launching, because it should be launching around the same time. And yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, it came through me, this book, in a way that my first one was very personal. It's Perfectly Imperfect, Your Complete Guide to Loving Yourself and Loving Your Body. So it was really a body of work that I needed to speak from my heart. This second book, Get Happy and Free, is one that we need to hear. Is one that, as I said, millions of us want to be happy, but most of us aren't. Why is that? Because we're chasing these external things. We are thinking that the business is going to make us happy. We think that the body is going to make us happy, the partner, the relationship, the trip to Spain that we're going to have. We think that if we just get the things externally, then we will be happy. I'm a big believer in doing all of the funness of being an entrepreneur, of learning new skills, of growing and expanding. I love it, and I do it daily. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm also very clear that it's not the thing that will make me happy. It's not the thing. And as soon as we recognize that getting all the things you've ever wanted is not going to make you happy, you get to actually start working on what will. And what will make you happy is coming back to that self-mastery, is cultivating a really beautiful relationship with you, with your internal world, and actually cultivating happiness by choosing your thoughts, by directing your focus, by recognizing what you already have. So this book is really, my publisher said, it's much more direct than your last book. And I thought, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? It's like, look, it's to the point.
It's a great thing.
And
Love directness.
yeah, I love directness. I think that there is really a much, it's pointed, it's sharp, because what it really is a reflection to say, us as humans, I don't know, have got our priorities wrong. I think it's wonderful to go after these things. I think it's amazing to be in business and to pursue your dreams and to go after like excellence. I'm committed to doing that. What I'm committed to beyond that, above that, as the overarching, is my happiness. Because you can get the dream job and the dream whatever. You can get everything that you've ever asked for. But if you are not happy, what's the freaking point? What's the point? And how many people do we know? We have millions of examples, and certainly many, many in the celebrity world, of people who have it all. They have it all and they end their life. And that might be through suicide, but it also could be that they drink themselves to death. They consume themselves to death. They harm themselves to death. If getting everything that you ever wanted made you happy, then all those people would be the beacon of it, and they're not. So let's have the wake-up call to really recognize, go after your dreams, do the amazing thing as icing on a cake that is already fulfilling. Let's work on the cake instead of the icing, or as well as the icing.
Yeah, I'm always reminded. Yeah, I'm reminded of this quote. I've thought of it since high school when I was an angsty teen, and it's, no matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah.
So no matter how successful you are, it's still you. No matter whatever your circumstances, it's you. So no matter where you go, because I had this dialogue in my head for years, oh, if I just do this, or if I just do that, and if I can't be happy here, then I can't be happy anywhere. And the answer is right, you can't, because it's not about where you are and what you've achieved and how far you've come. It's about you. No matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah, so let's cultivate that, Amanda, right? I think that quote's actually in the book. Wherever you go, there you are. So if you're thinking that you get over there and then you're going to be happy, we're deluded. It's not going to happen. Get happy now. Work on that now, so that as your dreams come true, as beautiful things are happening, you're just putting the icing on a cake. So we've got to work on us, and a relationship with ourselves is the single most important one we're ever going to have, as far as I'm concerned.
100%. I will be buying several of your books, especially for my kids, because this is a dialogue that I have mid 20-year-olds, we'll say.
Late 20-year-olds.
Yeah, they are late. 25, 26.
27 though.
Oh, 26, 27, 27 right now. But the one daughter, actually both the daughters, we've had a lot of conversations around why they're unhappy and how you cannot expect others to make you happy when you don't know what happiness is to yourself. And I've had this dialogue, and I can remember going through it myself, and just kind of the evolution and the healing journey of my own. But I love everything you just said. I'm just coming off of, actually, which I'm going to send you information. I'm on a nonprofit board, and we do 9 to 15 conferences a year. And we just had our happiness and well-being conference in March. And a lot of the things that you just said were things that we discussed and things that I brought up in the roundtable, and exactly what you just said about these pivotal people, these Robin Williams, for example, who was the idea of happiness and joy, and look what happened. And so I love everything about what you just said. I wish we could talk longer, but we're at our time. So
it sounds like I'll be joining you for your 2025 conference there.
I agree. I'll be sending you information.
Please do.
Love it. So one last nugget that there's so many little nuggets, but one last nugget that you would love to leave our audience.
You're in charge. You get to decide. And when you take ownership of that, when you take full ownership of your internal world, you get free. You get to decide the way that you see the world. You get to decide your perceptions. You get to decide your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, your focus, your attention, and your meaning. Everything else is superfluous. Everything else is outside of your control. Stop trying to control the things that you cannot control and put all your focus onto what you can, and your life will transform before your eyes. Take the responsibility. You're in charge.
Amen.
Love it. So how can people reach out and get in contact with you?
Oh, I'm sure you very beautiful, efficient women will pop it all in the show notes. I think the best place for you to come, grab it. If you just Google my name, actually, Lunaria Gaia, you Google that, you will find me everywhere. LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the spaces. I have my own podcast, the More Confidence with Luna Gaia podcast. So you can go check me out. It'll all be in the show notes. So go click the links. If you would like a free magnetic confidence guidebook, you can head to my website. Again, I'll chuck it in the notes.
Absolutely, we will. So make sure you are following and connecting with Lunaria as much as you can, and grabbing her books. We will be sure to put those show notes in the bottom so scroll down, keep scrolling, and then you'll see it right there. If you're joining us on YouTube, you will have to go to our website, thepursuitofbadasserie.com/podcast, to find everything, but you don't want to miss that while you're there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on, Luna. This was excellent. I know that we'll definitely be in touch. There's lots of uncovered nuggets I'm sure that we can talk about. So
I look forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So if this podcast resonates with you, or if you feel it would resonate with somebody else, please share. Absolutely follow Luna, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Share with your friends, and help spread the word. Because one, I love the mission that you're on and the work that you're doing. It's definitely something that's dear to our hearts, but definitely with the whole healing aspect and stuff. And I feel like, if we can just create beautiful ripples of change and in humanity. And I feel like you're doing that our world can be a better place. And so I really appreciate you, but yeah, everybody, we're super excited. Thank you so much. And I guess till next time,
get after it.
All right, everyone, it's not enough to just listen.
Now you've got to put it into action.
We are so excited to see what you do next.
If you enjoyed our show, please leave us a review on iTunes.
And to find out more about what we're doing, visit us at thepursuitofbadasserie.com.